handsomness through bare-boned allure of black and white. Praise shadows that broker light for losers and dreamers, and tight compositions that carry them across the infinity of living room. Praise wild universe pulsing inside its vortex of monochrome. Praise two-word, five-season moniker, O ye of existential buzzword. Praise warped and twisted noir in episodic containers, each brimming with rapid unraveling, then the snapback, delicious worlds of switcheroo.
All right, everybody, that was Riki Santer. And when she said chiseled handsomeness, I was hoping she was talking about me. She was not. That was Rod Serling, I'm sure. So Riki Santer, by way of quick introduction, her poetry has been published widely and has received many honors, including several Pushcart and Go Hyanna Book Award nominations, a fellowship from the National Endowment for the Humanities, and in 2023 she was named Ohio Poet of the Year. She's published 5 full-length collections and 6 chapbook sequences exploring such topics as the Hopewell Earthworks of Newark, Ohio, the Lake Kahaki Supper Club of Columbus, Ohio, the art of ventriloquism, the complex world of fashion, and of course, the reason we're all here, the classic television series, The Twilight Zone. She's a member of the teaching artist roster of the Ohio Arts Council, former vice president of the Ohio Poetry Association, and a member of the poetry troupe Concrete Wink. Her collection, Resurrection Letter, was a grand prize shortlisted for the Eric Hoffer Book Award, and her forthcoming collection, Shepherd's Hour, won the Paul Nesmer Book Prize from the Lilly Poetry Review. You can find her online at her website, rikisanter.com. Riki will be reading more from her book of Twilight Zone-inspired poems called Stopover, which was published by Luchador Press. Riki, could you tell us a little bit about how your book came to be?
All right, there I be. So Shelley, I know she's not here, but Shelley, I'm also a girl who loves Rod Serling. I was a high school English teacher during the time of the writing of this book, and I specialized in teaching film studies, and I often used Twilight Zone episodes to help students learn cinematic language of film, how that makes meaning, and also how elegant black and white photography is. So when the COVID pandemic hit, I experienced, like many of us in lockdown, I took out my full DVD set of Twilight Zone, all 5 years, and I began submerging myself into these worlds, episode by episode. And as I was doing that, the poems in this collection emerged. I was energized by the thematic echoes throughout the life of the series, and the way these narratives resonated in my own life, as well as speaking to the challenges of our current world. Hence, the book is called Stopover. I want to read you a quote from the epigraph, one of the epigraphs, I should say. There's 2 of them. And this is a quote from Millie from the episode from season 5, Stopover in a Quiet Town. I'm sure many of you remember that. And the quote is, "Where are we, Bob? Where are we?" Hence, Stopover. Chad and I thought it would be fun to introduce each other, so now it's my honor to introduce attorney, author, and former boxer, Chad Ellis Boykin. Oh, Chad, you know what, should we change his slide? Okay, so they can see your chiseled face. There's a chiseled face. All right, the dude. He's the owner and creator of Jobber House Press LLC. He's the author of Muay Thai Kickboxing, the ultimate guide to conditioning, training, and fighting, and of course, The Twilight Zone. Zone haiku, which we're going to be treated to tonight, which has been nominated for an Independent Publisher Book Award for Poetry. He's co-authored the Keiju Haiku Comic Zine, which will be published in early 2025, and has contributed to the forthcoming book by ATB Press, Outside In, Can Live With It, 174 Deep Space, 9 stories. He's currently developing Keiju and Keife essays on the uniquely interconnected history of giant Japanese monster cinema and the art of professional wrestling, and he can be reached at jobberhouse.com. Here's the man.
It's so great to be among your people, isn't it? So a quick backstory on the book. The Twilight Zone haiku actually started right here at SerlingFest 5 years ago in 2019. Like a lot of you, I learned about SerlingFest and the Rod Serling Memorial Foundation through the Twilight Zone podcast and Tom Elliott. And I found myself here surrounded by Rod Serling royalty, authors, scholars, musicians, artists, and if that doesn't inspire you to create, I don't know what will. So what happened is I wrote a few haiku about episodes of the Twilight Zone, and I posted them to a group chat. Tom Elliott started for podcast listeners to find each other when they were here, because they were a diaspora. They came from all over the place. It was fun to do, but something unexpected happened, and a few people in the chat wrote them back to me. They wrote their own Twilight Zone haiku, and that was the spark that started the inferno that became the Twilight Zone haiku. So this place, this event, Binghamton, the SerlingFest was the birth of this idea and this tribute to Rod Serling and the Twilight Zone. And one of the best things about this project has been that I've been able to collaborate and do some incredible collaborations. And the first one is I actually got to work with Tom Elliott, who graciously agreed to narrate the audiobook. So you can get the audiobook on Audible, Libro FM, Bandcamp, all those places. And it was such an honor for him to do that because Tom's podcast is the reason I was here in 2019. So he does an amazing job, as of course you would expect he would, reading the haiku. Unfortunately for you all today, I'm going to be reading them, not him. But maybe it won't be too bad. But it was really an honor for him to do that. He also wrote the foreword, and as a little preview to come in his foreword, he wrote a haiku for Rod Serling, and I'll be reading that today. I'll be reading one of Tom's. So the collaborations kept on to sort of promote the book. I worked with artist Karen Klutz, who turned some of the Twilight Zone haiku into visual art pieces. The one on the left for the 16mm shrine is one of those that she did. I also worked with Jason McBride of Weirdo Poetry on comic book art panels with custom Twilight Zone haikus. We've got more of those coming. You can see those on our Jobber House Instagram page or on our website. But these collaborations are really meaningful, and today I get to do a brand new collaboration right here on the SerlingFest stage with Riki Santer. This is a first, and we're very honored to be able to do this for you. What we've done is we've paired our poems, and there are different types of poems. Mine are haiku based on the episodes. Riki's is traditional poetry with the themes and episodes and characters worked in. So if you listen closely to both, I hope that you will hear some of your favorites, and this is an honor to do this for you. Part 1, one for the angels. Kind salesman cheats death, makes the sales pitch of his life. There are no returns. The big tall wish, hardened pugilist, his bus is already gone with a child's selfless gift. The 16mm shrine, beloved film queen, trapped in celluloid amber, the past reels her in. Mirror image, waiting for the bus, she sees herself everywhere, cross the parallel. Walking distance, dream of carousel, errand wish, the laughing ghost, limp ever forward.
So in the back of my collection, I have methodically listed all the episodes that inform various poems. I know I don't have to do that for this audience. audience. So this poem, you'll recognize 11 different episodes, and I have some pieces of dialogue in it, so I'll pause a bit so you can hear those. The poem is called Consider. When you consider a pitch to end all pitches, a pitch for angels, some say, what materializes in the dusty corners of your apartment will be a pitch as delicate as Shantung silk carried across ocean in satchels underneath the ruby throats of birds. Then your perfumed scarf will touch down upon a vegetables tapestry rug and proclaim your final exit. How euphemisms spiral into themselves as our pendulum slow and cantankerous static clings to our nose hairs. How we want to chew the date off our ticket to the Imperial Lounge and just keep rolling around the lush cornfield where we were wished ollie ollie oxen free. How we yearn to get drunk on cocktails of instant smiles and cellular serums, our pinkies tapping our lips. How we limit to a parakeet mirror our scavenger hunts for wrinkles and dearly pay to have done what alchemists do with plastic. Death will launch the trajectory of our accumulating selfies and leave us with our monkey minds gobsmacked like undigested bits of beef. So wag your tongue all you want at that grandfather clock and sway your phone in a crochet shawl to muffle calls from the grave. Branched shadows will play upon your sleeping face, and your scarab ring, too loose now for your fingers, will twang to the floor. No such place as exactly what happened. You all remember this episode a bit, right? This is from, and last night when we were at Barnes Noble, all the writers were asked about a favorite episode. This is mine, Last Night of a Jockey. And this poem, which is titled Solitaire, is for Mickey Rooney and his fabulous one-man performance in this episode. It's called Solitaire. For Mickey Rooney. In the paradise of remembering, you begin nestled and sparkling in that last clearing of Shakespeare's enchanted forest. Do you all remember him when he was 50 years old in that 1937 film of Midsummer's Night's Dream? No more yielding, but a dream. Puck's uppity nose, yours for a lifetime. Your kazoo-voiced kid with stars and stripes in a comic strip grin, 5'2" Sanjo dance man polish, big box office draw now wailing in a rundown box of a room Serling made just for you. Pint-sized prints rounding the far turns and coming up fast on the rail. Rage, grief, searing self-loathing, you played it straight, grizzled, the phone's receiver, each shiny object a painful mirror, walls closing in as your consonants rattled, your character out of his mind with shortness, neon gel of your ranting, nighty-night thunderstorms, then awaken to your feet dangling off the floor of the bed, and you, cowed by the cackling of a slicked-back, suited alter ego into a 10-foot Stretch Armstrong, now jockeyed out of jockeydom. This one-man episode, your acting chops in blazing bravura, your legacy complex, Lothario and gambler, and victim of elder abuse, which is to say, a Hollywood train wreck when at 93 you ended your tableau with frayed pockets, king high, ace low.
Part 2, Eye of the Beholder. Shrouded in shadow, bandages drop to the floor, mirror for us all. A passage for trumpet. In the middle place, Joey found music again, flowers in concrete. The after hours. She stands there frozen after wandering freely, ever so much fun. Nick of time. Busy Bee Cafe, Mystic Seer, penny slot, a high price to pay. The fever, outstretched, grasping hand, rolling coin finally falls flat, played by the machine.
Where's Gail? Gail Flagger. Gail, are you? Gail Way. Is Gail on? No? Okay. Did you guys see her presentation? It was fabulous. I want to dedicate this poem to Gail because it includes a refrain from the Talking Heads, Once in a Lifetime. You'll notice it, you'll hear it. And there are 9 Twilight Zone episodes embedded here that span all 5 seasons. The poem is called Enchanted Things. You may find yourself trying on a dead man's 2-tone loafers, stylish missiles to take you back to sooty alleys, tequila shots with sugar cubes, borrowed revenge. Ebony, onyx, licorice, black olive, how many shades of pulling blood can ooze from your noir crayon? Anchor of question, arrows of answers, another cup of quandary at the threshold. Does paranormal have a to-do list? Squads of deep mirrors everywhere, cracked, rear-viewed or doubled, convex or cobwebbed, each distorts who's right around your corner. How many times can your reflection shatter until it's released? You may find yourself quivering in the thrall of a sizzling herd of mannequins. What does matter hum to a spirit sporting nylon pigtails and marble eyeballs? You may find yourself entwined by the twitching muscles of homebound. Over there, tail of your electric shaver slithers down the stairway. Over there, typewriter keys in dizzy beat with castanets armed and vengeful. Negotiate edible trappings with your toy telephone. Chew on greedy slices from a camera that browns your future like a toaster. Gravel dust cakes under your fingernails once you're spotted by goggle eyes of death car. How well can you redecorate when you move into the innards of an antique radio? Your piano in the parlor speaks slot machine, patch of moonlight fevers, ivories. Now you're a melancholy miniature cozying up to a 19th century dollhouse damsel. Raise your pitch at the end of your statements, and voila, you've invented questions. A gold thimble from the lost floor of a department store, ever so much fun in the chill wind. You may ask yourself, how many tangents can you add to a tangent? What's in between and out of bounds? Marvelous gimmick, once ancient anagram of magic, to fetishize square pegs, to net silver fish in Twilight. I'm sorry, This poem, the title of this poem includes two technical poetic terms. I want to be sure you know them. It's a crown of poems, which means, it simply means a sequence of poems that are linked together somehow thematically, and they're all in the form of a cinquain, which simply means they're 5-line stanzas. So this is called Crown of Cinquains for the women of Twilight Zone. Beauty in Mercury Montclair beckoned by a scarecrow man with crucible thumb, scythe's fruit. Past her prime, but what is prime but that which she wraps in celluloid shrine for her own heaven? She with only grunts, moans, tiny toy robot rays, her dome life, hatchet, oval equals giant. Beauty haunted by bus station doppelganger, Mona Lisa smirk in a mirror. Behold clucking doctor, woman as ready wound, mummified face waiting, fable unwrapped.
You know, that's really her applause, but every time I get to walk out and there's applause, it feels really good. I want that to be my day-to-day experience when I go to work. Believe me, it is not. All right, part 3, Nothing in the Dark. Alone in the dark, she takes his hand and lets go, steps into the light. The midnight sun, heat apocalypse, Norma drips, paints waterfall, earth a fever dream. Kick the can, arrest home jailbreak, internal fountain of youth, he could not believe. 5 characters in search of an exit. How did we get here? Stand on each other's shoulders, we're being toyed with. To serve man, 9-foot Kemet, can earthlings learn how to trust? An end to hunger.
Is Nick out there? Is he still out there? Well, I don't see him, but Nick, thank you for including Carol Burnett in that series of testimonials. And she's in this poem. As we all know, Twilight Zone wasn't afraid of the corny and comedy. So this poem is called Turkeys We Love. An ancient silent movie clown, married to his childhood sweetheart, aka the subjunctive mood, skitters down a dusty road, sifting through chickens and pigs that tease his ankles. It's late 19th century, flirting with early 1960s, and it's not what a comedian can do for you, but what you can do for a comedian. Buster Keaton, Dour and Pork Pie, journeys across time in gizmo helmet without his pants. I hung him up in 1890 to land in another sovereign state of deadpan with fading acrobatic feats of hijinks. Just watch your step, Mulligan, as he leaves behind punchlines on intertitles and navigates set pieces in his newfangled hometown. A modern America that celebrates slick TV men who don't have all their buttons. And then there's perennial sidekick Andy Devine, with raspy rat-a-tat-tat-tat escapades launching through the homespun gap in his teeth, endearing blowhard until Martians believe him, but his whiny harmonica is too much for alien kidnappers, and it's back to the general store where cronies laugh off his tail as just another frisbee cry for a convoluting wolf. And what about those 2 Agneses claiming that ether of comedy. A 60s Surrey called greatest mind of the century, yet out of her mind. Computer femme fatale who likes entrapping white-coated men with her flirty knobs and winking lights in a sanitized suite. Most perfect casting of nerd, chiseled Wally Cox. Too timid for a girlfriend, too unhinged for a tantrum of paper tongue spewing messages of Venus, Schmeenus. And then the other Miss Agnes, Carol Burnett's overbite ensures her ingenue awkwardness, while her guardian angel, Jessie White, zaps down from the heavenly vault of third celestial division to chomp on a wet cigar and deliver a sugary fable, comic relief or comic grief. Yet corny thickets, gnarly and sluggish, but still classic with room tones of funny, like Izzy, my sweet sappy uncle, who holds joyous court each evening in the crowded dining room of his dingy nursing home on the outskirts of Queens. So Twilight Zone is all about merch in a lot of ways, and so I was playing around with that idea in this poem. And there are 5 different episodes referenced in this one. I know you guys will recognize them. It's called Gift Shop at the Museum of Fear. The cashier will church you into the flavor of this place. Maps to guide you through galleries of purple testaments, last stops in the vast design of things. It's okay to rattle grocery money when there are hermetically sealed jars of ghost heat, sour fog, and canatory rhythms under the bed cams or dust cake canteens with bullet holes for selfish mouths. Signed copies of the Doppelganger's Guide for Arousing Am I Really Who I Think I Am? Or postcard recipes from the Cannibal's Cookbook. It's okay to max out on the plastic when there's a roll-a-top slot machine guaranteed to whisper your name all night, assorted lapel buttons like I survived psychic sweatshops, or my fear engine needs an oil change, or wind-up toys that will howl in the wake of your scorched failures. So go ahead, zip off the cellophane and exit the building wearing your personal protective equipment gear with museum logos, of course, for squirming through the next thick forest of tree thorns and brambles under a blood and smoke sky. Oh, you know what? I didn't.
I don't want to be like creepy and come behind you while you're reading and hit the buttons. All right, no wonder, no worry. Gotta get your words right. All right, we're at part 4 of 5. Part 4, the dummy, the angle askew, controlled by his own puppet, twisted switcheroo, the changing of the guard, ghostly school bell rings, calls professor from sorrow as winter snow falls. Miniature, pressured by the world to be other than he is, Charlie finds his place. He's alive, a petty fascist, guided by shadow Führer. He is your neighbor. Hocus pocus and frisbee, teller of tall tales, abducted by aliens. The truth is out there.
Don't we love all the aliens in Twilight Zone? This poem is called Annoyed Aliens. Annoyed aliens detest the father of looking like some of us. Martian zookeepers in Roman togas, Marlon Brando wannabes, three-eyed, three-armed invaders who plot over bad coffee in out-of-the-way diners. Irritated aliens whine about reruns, tired jokes, like did you hear the one about the two-headed Martian who walks into the dump full of barflies and flutters its jerry-rigged antennas to turn actor grit into slapstick? And it doesn't make it any better when they're joined by twin boy Venusians who shimmy in with pencil mustaches and crotchety voices of grown men. But what really ticks them off are swollen consummate craniums of cookbook authors. We probably taste like chicken. And those turtleneck, slick-suited, white-gloved no-mouths who get played by a blues harp blowhard from Pitchville. Aggrieved aliens believe we should own up to our demented what any other looks like. Therein lies our humanoid's tale, ego, inflatable, deflatable, and viscid at best. So I was talking to some people during the break, and some of you know that I wrote an entire poetry collection called Drop Jaw, which is about ventriloquism, and I got pretty obsessed with that topic. And I loved the episodes on ventriloquism in Twilight, so I want to read my poem, Ventriloquist Oath. And of course I dedicate this poem to little Caesar and Willie. Check each hollow head for explosives. Even they can have minds of their own. Toss your vaudeville voice from trunk to trunk. Forge double gestalt from your shirt-shot tongue. Tumble through each second-rate shanty nightclub routine with brash block of wood, bottle of hooch. Button up each wayward planet into your box of tricks, but always be beside yourself for any object that longs to be co-conspirator. Even rocks talk ancient language. Shut your mouth and listen up.
Part 5, Time Enough at Last. Alone with his books, the world a bombed-out ruin, completely shattered. Nightmare at 20,000 feet. Flying through a storm, there's a gremlin on the wing. Is it only me? A stop at Willoughby, push, 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 Williams. Heart shattered like mirrored glass. Tranquil train transports. A world of difference. Director yells, cut! Whose life do I leave today? All the world, a stage. On Thursday, we leave for home. Stern recalcitrance guided his flock till rescue. All were saved, but one.
So many people I talked to who knew I was working on this collection mentioned this episode. So what I did, I used this narrative as a springboard to thinking about the title, The Art of Being Human. I think that's what this episode is about. It's for Henry Bemis. Even you, page turner, even you, reader of condiment bottles and campaign buttons, back to your cage, even revulsion of truth to power, even preternatural buzz of conspiracy theory, even crosshairs of complicity, even lenses shattered and whispered regret, even no country of mine, even soot squalls of extinction, even substance in shadow, even clear water from kitchen tap, perfect snowflake on your tongue, even first gaze from new parent, rise and fall of huddled breaths, even slow rocking on front porch, warm slices of humming and hummingbird cake, even toes in cool clover, tender tender fingers entwined with wrinkled and dry, even long dreams woven into rag rugs and Afghans, hot coffee under underpass, wrapped sandwiches passed from backpacks and car windows, even skies whose mission is to keep changing, even threads cut with your teeth, even tentative reconciliation, even narrow eyes of endpoint, even stark alone, even time enough, even this with courageous that. So, by the way, Chad, I have to say publicly, I've had so much fun working with Chad as we were planning this presentation together. So Chad, thank you. You've been such a great playmate. We decided we wanted to end our poems with a salute to Rod Serling. So I'm going to read two poems. This one, as you can see the title, I was thinking about what if Rod Serling took up stand-up. So this is called Rod Serling Takes a Stab at Stand-Up. Before he says anything, he draws deep on a fresh Chesterfield and turns his head to profile so he can better think sideways. Swish pan, swish pan, swish pan, ah, there's the ringmaster. Hot light, hot mic, and he's rappier, thin, cool, in a black mohair, 3-roll, 2-stack suit, and crispy white Oxford spread collar. Glad you could all make it tonight, 'cause you're traveling now with the best-dressed man in any dimension. Rod straightens his Brooks Brothers double stripe and clenches his jaw for that baritone glide. I just flew into town an hour ago, and boy, are my gremlins tired. Rod straddles a stool. You know, some people call me the Arthur Miller of science fiction TV, but my wife calls me television's Groucho Marx of eyebrows. Yeah, I'm a Jewish kid born on December 25th. That one Christmas day, my parents had something else delivered besides Chinese takeout. He grips the mic, and a beam of light launches off his silvery military bracelet. You might have heard I was a paratrooper during World War II, but hell, that wasn't half as harrowing as battling with TV sponsors. I'm no dummy, but we all know what it is to look into the face of the Twilight Zone. You have to have toilet paper with you at all times for the doo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo. But seriously, I do hold the record for winning 6 Emmys in outstanding writing for a drama series. But what the hell do those 2 aliens in the front row care? They've probably got better jokes on their planet, like an Earthling and a Martian walk into a diner. A mound of ash has been softly growing near his floor chimes. My daughter keeps telling me that I smoke too many cigarettes, but then I remind them of our digs in Pacific Palisades and Cayuga Lake, and they stop nagging me. Oh yeah, sometimes I like playing the In Rod We Trust card. Rod drops his cigarette butt to the floor, rubs it out with his shoe. So that's my time, folks. I'm heading back now to the hacienda, and when I get there, I'll walk into my study, sit down, put paper in the typewriter, fix the margins, turn the paper up, and bleed.
All right, this is definitely the way to wrap this up with some odes to Rod Serling. To bridge the divide, dapper, mysterious host leads us somewhere new. Distinctive cadence, poetic predilection, a timeless presence. And the last one is is actually written by Tom Elliott. So those of you who got the Twilight Zone haiku know that Tom Elliott wrote the foreword, and when I read the foreword, it was incredibly moving, but he also did his own haiku to close his foreword. So I'm going to close, I'm going to end at the beginning, because this all started with me with the Twilight Zone podcast and coming here, and the beginning can be the end, and the end can be the beginning. So this is Tom's ode to Rod Serling. Signpost up ahead, black sky full of twinkling stars, the smoking man speaks. And this has been a blast. This event is a blast, and thank you all for being here. There's one more that Riki's going to do. This is my time. Thank you all so much.
I'd like to take this opportunity before I read this last poem. This is how we're going to close our set. It's just to thank Nick, and what an honor it's been for me to be among all of you celebrating Rod, the great, great Rod Serling. And that's what this last poem is about. It's called a cento. And what a cento is when poets take not their own words, but words from other sources. And the art of it is about how you juxtapose lines. So every line in this poem that I'm going to read are excerpts from 5 seasons of Rod Serling's brilliant opening and closing narratives. It's called Cento, for his monologues for Rod Serling. With many bromides applicable, a collection of question marks, as they are wont to do in a very special Baivuk area, since this is strictly a story of make-believe, a strange province, a shadowland, small exercise in space psychology, not a virus, not a microbe, not a germ, not a good-natured counterman, not a gentle product in the form of a grandmother or a twisted fanatic or some rough and woolly nail-eaters, but proof positive that you can't outpunch machinery in rebellion against the mechanics of our age, and in a moment we forget this, the 90% of the jigsaw pieces, then we become the grave diggers with the aggressive vinegar of a corpse, doomed to a perdition of unutterable loneliness when fear that washes over like fog and ocean spray. Yet you can find nobility and sacrifice, no moral, no message, no prophetic track, just a suit of armor held together by one bolt. Call it faith, a naked target, like trying to pluck a note of music out of the air and put it under glass to treasure, the will-o'-the-wisp mirage that dangles from the sky, wishful thinkers made of glass, tormented by an imagination sharp and pointed, as if some omniscient painter mixed a tube of oils for some laughing ghosts that cross a mind, chasing an idol across the sand, and leave a second chance, lying in a heap, to shake hands figuratively for a dark spot from the tapestry of life rubbed clean. The genie you save may be your own tilt of center, going over the top of a rim. Let this be the postscript. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, guys. And stay tuned. We have another excellent presentation coming up by our own Mark Dewitziak, board member. And I just need to swap out our tech here for a second.